Hello, how's everyone doing? Happy Wednesday and welcome back to the Win-Win Real Talk on Speak Up and Empower. So excited to have you here today. Whew, it is almost mid-February already, and I hope you guys are still off to a great start of the new year and happy Lunar, Chinese, Vietnamese New Year this Friday, too. A lot to celebrate, a lot of good fortune coming your way. I feel it. And on that note of fortune, let's talk wealth today. Let's talk money. I know when we have money talks or don't have it at all, it just stirs up a lot of different emotions inside of us. And I know I've had to really face my fear of just that not long ago. I wanted so badly to learn about money. And this is from someone that, has a business degree and had to take finance classes and, had that corporate career. And I didn't know it. I didn't know it. I didn't understand it, but I wanted to learn so badly. And sadly, it's something that's just not taught in school. And it's sadly something that is not even taught in business school. And I know that firsthand. We learn so many abstract things that we don't really use, that's not very practical in everyday life, that's not really just productive in what we need to succeed financially. And so I thought today would be a good day to just kind of bring truths to money and finance and how to really get your money working for you. Now, there's different ways about really building wealth, creating wealth, and really just getting ahead. So just keep in mind that these are just really basic concepts and principles that I'm going to share today. Things that I wish I learned in school, that I wish in the 3.5 years that I was in college, I busted my butt to get out of there quickly because I applied for a job and it screamed my name, and they offered me a full-time position so long as I could like get started that semester at the end of that semester. So I remember taking like 23 units my last semester in college just to bust my butt out of there so I could start this new job that I was so excited about. But in the time that I was in business school, the 3.5 years, oh my gosh, I wish I knew what I'm about to teach you guys in like 30 minutes or so. That's my goal. And no, this is not like a full on workshop or anything like that. If you want to learn more, if you want to be invited to a real workshop where I'm going to have like visuals and a full on presentation, I left my phone number here. I would love to get connected and just text me and say, hey, I would love to learn more. I would love to hear this again. I would love for you to kind of slow it down or dive really deep into what you went over today. So today is just going to be a little conversational. If you have your coffee, cool. I want to make this just as enjoyable and just remove the shame around money if there is that for you. I know for me there was. I'm Vietnamese American. I was born here in NorCal. I'm actually in my old bedroom, believe it or not. I'm visiting my mom now in San Jose. And this is actually my dad's painting. He was an artist, a famous artist in Vietnam, escaped on boat. My parents were total refugees, and my dad bought like blank canvas and just started painting away. So you can see this beautiful Vietnamese woman here in a traditional Vietnamese dress. So anyway, this is again in honor of my dad to live through this legacy of building financial confidence in people through just simple financial literacy. Again, things I wish I learned in school, in business school, that I didn't. Okay. So, like I said, when I got started in what I did, I had a really difficult time talking about money. Let's be very, very real right now and completely frank and candid in that truth of mine. I was so scared to talk about it. And I remember talking to my mentor and saying, I don't know if I can do this. There's just so much silence in the Asian community, especially around so many things. Like, we don't talk about a lot of things. And to us, silence, or to the older generation, especially, silence is peace. But I realized that it is not true. And I kind of butt heads with my mom sometimes about that too, because I want to just have a real deep, honest talk about things so we can grow through it, learn, understand each other better, and grow together. And when I got started with financial services and getting into this line of work, I was forced to grow. I was forced to get super uncomfortable. We don't talk about money culturally. It's just not what we do. We will fight over the bill, but we will not talk about money. And then I quickly realized that we're in the dark abyss of not knowing and financial ignorance because we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. And so I've really had to learn to just make it an easy conversation and to just be cool with it. Like, kind of like how a doctor talks about body parts, like it's an elbow when you know clearly it's not. I wanted to do the same thing about money and just make it so that people can feel comfortable. So, you know, one of the biggest reasons why I also got started in finance, an industry that I never saw myself in, was because I realized quickly that there was a great need for what we do and for the education and for the literacy and the solutions that are available that unfortunately in the traditional financial industry, we're talking like the Merrill Lynch, the Edward Jones, these big name financial firms, well, unfortunately, they just don't have time for us. Why? Because unless you've got about $1 million liquid ready to invest right now, you're not going to get a phone call from a wealth manager saying, hey, let me help you manage your wealth. There aren't too many wealth builders out there that's going to take the time. We're actually, I don't know about you, but my family, my mom's a hairdresser, my dad was a technician, didn't make a lot of money, did not make a lot of money. And so coming from, right, middle class America, which is the 99% of us, gosh, we're completely left behind not knowing about really what it takes to build financial success. And like I said, in the traditional industry, they're not willing to help us because it's not worth their time. We're not worth their time. I don't know about how that makes you feel, but that makes me kind of angry. That made me angry. And I want to be a part of the solution, not the problem. And that's when I decided to join forces and to do what I do today. So let's talk about that. If I were to ask you guys, if there were 1,000 Americans in this box right here, this imaginary box, 1,000 Americans, like how many of the 1,000 Americans do you think have ever had a chance to really sit down with a financial professional to get real advice and guidance? Out of the 1,000, sadly, only about 10, maybe 20 if you're lucky. What does that mean? That means that 99% of America is completely left behind when it comes to the information we deserve, the solutions, the services that we deserve. And like I said, that boiled me. I thought, why? Why is that? And I kind of touched on this just a second ago, but it's true. The traditional financial industry is only going to target the most affluent. We're talking the top 1 to 2% of America making at least $250,000 a year with about $1 million liquid ready to invest. That's when you can afford their time, that you're worth their time. Outside of that, we're considered charity cases. How sad. And I thought, okay, this has got to change. This is crazy. No way. And then I started doing more research and we started learning that it's true. It's very true. And so I thought, okay, so if 99% of us are not helped, that's a great problem. And in business, period, when there's a great problem, there lies a great opportunity too. So when you look at it from really a business perspective, it's an open marketplace with really no competition. And what I've realized in doing this over the last 5 years now, when I step into a room with other financial advisors, I will say that I don't feel incompetent. I don't feel like, oh, you're a veteran with this company, Merrill Lynch, let's say, right? Or whatever company there is out there for 20, 25, 30 years. Good, awesome. That's great. But guess what? I'm licensed to do different things than you. And so what I've realized is that I know a lot that they don't know. And they know a lot that I may not know. And so what I've realized too is that we can work really well together. And so when I have clients that say, or friends and family that say, oh, I already have a wealth advisor, I already have a financial advisor, awesome. I'm glad you made the time to do that. Really, really important because time is really your biggest asset. And I'm going to go through that today. But really also important to get a second opinion, wouldn't you say? Like I said earlier, if you had a doctor that said, okay, this is your diagnosis. Like, no way. Will you just accept it as is? No, absolutely not. I would hope that we would get a second opinion, a third opinion. And so that's what we do, and that's what I do. And I realized that I'm able to really complement what an advisor's already done for a certain family. And my approach is educational, right? My approach is also tax efficiency and to provide protection on assets too that a lot of advisors can't do. A lot of them say, hey, this is an investment. So sign here knowing that, there are no guarantees and you're subject to market loss. But what if there were solutions out there that I can provide that'll allow you to protect your money, if not all of your money, against that, right? And so important to learn all these concepts, but also be just open minded to what's really out there. What's really out there. And also knowing that most advisors are captive, which in the industry means that they work for one company and one company only, which means that they have limited resources in terms of different solutions that are available through them. So if you work with, for example, again, or a different company. Let's go with a different example. Let's say with Wells Fargo. Well, they're going to provide only what Wells Fargo has. If you work with Merrill Lynch, they're only going to provide what Merrill Lynch has. And so imagine how limiting that can be, and how a second opinion and getting a simple review with an advisor like me who has access to over 100 A-rated companies, how much that can benefit you to just know what's out there with no obligation, right? And so what I've learned is, holy cow, I've had so much exposure to so many different companies and knowing what's really out there and being able to ask the right questions, because I've seen so many different solutions out there that I know what questions to ask and really to determine what makes one better than the other for a specific client and family based on their objectives. Okay. And one of the biggest objectives, guys, is to put your money where it's going to grow. Wouldn't you say? If your money's sitting there, would you like it to sit and grow, or would you like it to just sit and rot? No, no one wants their money to rot. But that's what's happening in traditional savings accounts. I mean, I looked it up today just to be in the know and to give you current information. And banks are offering, still, Bank of America, 0.01% back on their traditional savings accounts. That's not very exciting, not a productive way to get your money to grow, especially long term. So, one of the biggest rules is put your money where it's going to grow. And how you can really determine how quickly it's going to work for you is this formula that's called the Rule of 72, and it's by Albert Einstein. And it was considered really the eighth wonder of the world. There's lots of YouTube videos on it breaking down exactly the science behind it and how he was trying to calculate population growth, which then offered us information and a formula really on how to figure out compound interest and how that works as well. And so when you take the rule of 72 into account, into your financial accounts, how it works is this: you take the number 72, you divide it by an interest rate, and that will equal the number of years it will take for your money to double. I know that's a mouthful, but that's pretty much what this looks like right here. Again, I wanted to keep this conversational, but I also wanted to give you a few visuals to keep you engaged. Okay? And so we're going to play with that number. Now, let's say you have $10,000. Where would you put your money? Most people would say the savings account because that's all I have. That's all I know. It's safe. It's safe. What's safe though? Money growing at 0.01% really means 0.0001. Okay. So if you were to divide that, 72 divided by that number, that will equal 720,000. It would take 720,000 years for your money to double. So that 10,000 will become 20,000 in 720,000 years. Who has time for that? Who has time for that? And so let's just say you found an account that grows at 4%. Well, 72 goes into 4 18 times, or sorry, 4 goods into 72 18 times, which means that by 65 in this example, right, you got $40,000. That's a lot better. The problem is that it's still very small and inflation's going up about 2 to 3% each and every year. So this is barely outpacing inflation. Now, here's a crazy thing that I found. Let's say you found an account that grows at 6%. Well, 72 divided by 6 equals 12. So every 12 years, your money's going to double. Here by 65, you got $80,000. And this example, by the way, is based on you being at the age of 29 and starting with initial investment of 10,000. Okay. So what I found to be really crazy is those last two examples I gave you, growing at what, 4%, and by 65 having 40,000, and then just 2% differential. Okay. And yet the results are double. That's insane. That's insane. That's crazy. It's double the effect on just a 2% difference. And why is that? There's a power to compound interest. There's a power to really getting your money to work for you over time. And the sooner you start, the better your chances of your money growing and doubling. And there's a power to growth on growth on growth. As you can see in this example, that's pretty crazy, huh? Pretty crazy. So it's evident. The higher the interest rate, the better off you'll be. Simple, simple. But I want you to think about this at a higher level, of how our system's also very broken in many, many ways. I think we can all agree that educationally, our systems are broken. Financially, our systems are broken, where 99% of us are completely left behind to fend for ourselves financially and to figure it out as we go and lose all this precious, valuable, invaluable time that we could have had our money working for us had we known that much sooner. But how about like the financial system of banks, even? Let's talk about that. Let's be real. So let's say our money's growing at 0.01% because it is. If you're lucky, you're getting 0.5 right now. That's what I found. In a CD, if you're locking it in for like, gosh, years at a time. That's crazy. But let's just use the same example that we were working with. If our money is growing at 0.01%, which means that our money is going to double in 720,000 years, okay? And if we've got credit cards with interest rates at 18%, 72 divided by 18 is 4. So what that means is our debt's growing and doubling every 4 years, whereas our savings is growing every 720,000 years. Do you see how broken our system is? Do you see how so many families have like just no way of getting out, or is there? I mean, if our debt is growing that much faster than our savings is, there's a problem here and it needs to be fixed. And so what I love about our company is we also offer debt solutions. So if that's your case now, just know that we have your back. That's another reason why I love working with the company I'm with, because we don't turn anyone away. We believe that everyone deserves solutions and deserves a real shot at financial freedom and independence and success. Okay? So just know that the rule of 72, that formula can work for you if it's appreciating assets, but it can also work against you if it's debt. And so it's really, really important, number one, guys, to get your money to work for you by putting it in accounts that's really going to grow. The higher the interest rate, the better. But typically what that means is like, yeah, the higher the reward, also the higher the risk. So we also want to be cautious about risk management and being in the know about that and understanding really how that works. Now, when it comes to investing your money, there are 3 types of risk that would be involved depending on what kind of account that your money's sitting in, okay? And so the first one being really fixed accounts, kind of like what we talked about, savings accounts, CDs, they're fixed. There's no guesswork when it comes to how much you're going to earn at the end of a specific term. So let's just say this is fixed. Your savings, CDs. So if your money is growing like this, because it's fixed and it's safe because you know what you're going to get and there's no guesswork, that's good that there's no guesswork. Yeah, that's a positive. But if it's growing at the 0.01%, not even a full 1%, how slowly is your money really growing? And is it really growing if you're taking into account inflation? Like I said, about 2 to 3% each year. So what's really happening to your money if it's growing at 0.01, but inflation, the cost of living is going up each and every year, 2%? It's an automatic loss. It's kind of scary. So what may seem the safest bet may be the most riskiest of all. Now, I'm not saying all bad things about the bank, okay? Or am I? There's more to this, and I can't wait until we go dive deep into really the truths. But slowly and surely, I just want you to know that fixed accounts are good for slow growth. Slow growth. Now, what's the next option? Well, there's what we call variable accounts, and that would be like your 401k, your traditional IRA, individual retirement account, your Roth IRA, even 403b, mutual funds, which is a basket of really stocks and bonds. And how does that work? Well, it's a variable. So you kind of get what you're going to get. Just depends on how the market does, right? It just depends. It depends. Your money is going to be 100% subject to market loss. And that's the scary thing, because you have 100% upside potential, but you also have 100% downside potential. You could gain it all, lose it all. It just depends on how the market does. And so a lot of people back in 2008, they did not realize that that's what could happen in their 401k. They did not realize that that's what could happen. And it was shocking for so many people to lose 40% of their accounts practically overnight like that. So imagine if you're like 70, getting ready to retire, and you had like $1 million sitting in your account, and you're just like, yes, that time has come. I've been so loyal to putting away all this money so that I can retire and stop working one day, and then boom, like half of it gone. And we haven't even talked about taxes imposed on those types of accounts too, you know? So that can be scary. Now, in the long run, it could really work for you too. It could really work for you too. For example, I just ran some numbers yesterday for a client. I like to give you like real case studies. And I have a mutual fund that I have access to that's doing really, really well. Over the last year, it's done 30%. Since inception, it's done about 14%. And the inception just means like, how long has it really been on the market? Like, when was this fund created? And it's been over 45 years that it's been created. So you want to, if you're going to get into like investments like that, you want to check out the track record. It's not indicative of future performance, but at least it gives you an idea. And so I was curious. I was like, what would have happened uh, if my client, who's now 48, put in $6,000, which is the max you could put into like an IRA, Roth IRA on an annual basis, right? If you're under 50. So she's 48. And I thought, okay, let's go back 30 years historically. Let's say she put $6,000, the max amount that you can, when she's 18 years old, and just let that puppy ride up until now that she's 48. Guess what happened to that account? With just $6,000 in this account, historically, with real returns. We're not talking this hypothetical crystal, like fake ball of, hey, if it grew at this. No, this is historical returns. $6,000 grew to $201,000 in this account. I mean, there's a proven track record on a lot of these investment opportunities, And so being able to share that with her and say, hey, look at this. And I'm not only helping her, I'm also helping her daughter who's 18. This could be her daughter. So having a real opportunity does not help one client, but also help clients by the families is so awesome. Anyway, so I thought that was really, really powerful. Hey, long term, the market's done really well, but timing can be everything. So as you get closer to retirement, you definitely want to be more conservative. with your investments so that you're not subject to as much loss, hopefully. Okay, or even protecting it. Protecting it with what? So we talked about fixed accounts, variable accounts. What's the other option? There's what's called indexed opportunities. Okay, and so how does that work? Well, how it works is your account is going to grow with the market and you're going to lock in certain gains up to a certain percentage, let's say 15%. Some accounts I have access to like 20%. Some I have access to over 200%. How crazy, with downside protection. Some have downside protection where even if the market tanks, your principal is completely covered and protected. That's amazing. So imagine in 2008 where people were losing 40% in their accounts, you lost nothing in these, but you were able to capture the positives up to a defined interest rate, 15, 20%. Isn't that awesome? Now, another account that I have access to, just to give you a real idea, is a retirement account. And I've been doing a lot of rollovers for this. And, you know, a lot of people have these two things. We've got fixed accounts and we've got variable accounts. How about like the middle ground? A lot of people are missing that middle ground. How do we bridge that gap? Well, maybe an index account could work for you. And one that's very, very powerful right now is something that I have access to where you can capture up to 200% in the market. How crazy. Mm-hmm. And there's also what's called a buffer. A buffer means protection on the downside of 20%. So if the market tanks 40% like it did in 2008, you would have lost 20%, not the full 40. But on the upside, you can capture up to 200%. How amazing is that? It's so cool. It's so great to see what's out there and be in the know. And that was another reason why I decided to like really go into this, is because I needed to know for my family. Because guess what? If I'm not involved in this business, my family would never be helped. We would not be helped. We would not be helped. And so I thought I need to help myself. I need to help myself. I need to help my family. And then I also want to help so many families along the way, you know, and just having these honest conversations about what's really out there and really learning about what's important to them, you know? So if you had money that grows at a fixed rate, variable, or index where there's caps, where you can capture a certain percentage, and there's buffers where you have protection on the downside, like of those three types of accounts, how would you rather have your long-term investments grow? Probably, probably index. Probably index. And I've done some comparisons. I've seen how if you just rode the wave of the market, like the top 500 companies in the US, the S&P 500 index, well, it's done a certain percentage, like about 5% over the last 20 years. Whereas with some protection, it could do like 8%. So protection goes a long way. A little protection goes a long way, guys. And so if you don't already have that working for you, be in the know. Be in the know, okay? And text me. I would love to share with you more. We can go deep into it. Now, rule number one, put your money where it's going to grow. Rule number two, yes, minimize or eliminate risk altogether if you can. If you can, and with me, you can. And number three is taxes. How do I reduce the impact of taxes? Well, sometimes it's as simple as where you put your money. That simple. And I wish, again, I knew this. So I had a corporate career. I was offered, 401k opportunity, start saving money, pre-tax dollars into the 401k. And, I had a company match, which is great. That's free money. You want to take advantage of that. But I didn't really know what it meant. I did not understand the ins and outs of what it really meant. And so let's talk about that, because it's not just about how much money you make that matters, it's how much you keep that matters most. And sometimes that just means what type of account your money's sitting in. That simple. That simple. So the very first type of taxable account would be the taxable accounts, the tax now accounts. And that would be like your savings, mutual funds, stocks, bonds, CDs. Every year your money grows, you're going to have to pay capital gains tax on it. Okay. We're talking upwards of 20%. There's even like short-term capital gains. We're talking like 40% more. So you may see your money rising in these accounts and you're like, oh my gosh, it's doing so well. But how much am I going to be taxed on this? Something to consider, something to know about. Now, a lot of people are putting their long-term money in these taxable accounts, not realizing that your money's growing a lot slower if 20 to 40% of it's going to the IRS each and every year. So the biggest benefit to these taxable accounts would be the fact that it's liquid. You can access it anytime without penalty. So for short-term goals, this is where you want to put your money. Now, for long-term goals, you may want to consider other options. And the very first option that most of us are offered and have opted into would be like our 401k or 403b, traditional IRA. How does that work? Well, you're investing pre-tax dollars, so you haven't paid any taxes on your money yet, but you're going to invest it now into these accounts and it's going to grow tax-free. But guess what happens at retirement? Yeah, Uncle Sam's gonna be like, yo, I want my money. And I've been waiting patiently for it. And how much will that be? How much will they tax you at that time? Say 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now. Who knows? We do not have a crystal ball as to what income tax rates will be. And that's the scary thing. You're kind of deferring into an unknown amount. I'm not saying it's all bad. Take advantage of matches. It's free money. But just know that that's what that means, that you just don't know how much is going to be taxed. You just don't know how much of the money you see in your account. And if you checked your 401k balance right now, like you don't know how much of that's truly yours. Not to mention the fact that it's a variable account and it's growing with the market. It's moving with the market. It's something to know. It's something to consider, right? It's something that I wish I knew sooner. And I'm glad I found out when I did, because then I was able to incorporate other opportunities to really diversify my portfolio so that there is protection when there's, and if there's ever a crash again, or some correction protection too. But really, that's what you need to learn and that's what you need to know. And so that you can, again, just take advantage of opportunities that are going to get you ahead in general, no matter what happens to the market. Okay. And so what's the other taxable or tax category when it comes to a different type of account? Well, the other would be tax exempt or tax advantaged. Okay. We talked about taxable. We talked about tax deferred or tax later. And then now we're going to step into really the tax exempt, tax advantage opportunities of wealth building. And they're really like three main types. But how it works is this: you've already paid taxes on your income this year. So you're investing after tax dollars into these accounts. So while it grows tax free. And at retirement, guess what happens? When you withdraw, it's completely tax free too, because you already have paid taxes on it on the front end. Got it? So would you rather not pay taxes now and pay taxes on an unknown amount in the future? Or would you rather pay taxes on your money this year, knowing what it's going to be, to keep 100% of it completely tax-free later? It just depends. Maybe a combination of both. Why not? But it's so, so important to incorporate a tax efficient long-term strategy with accounts that can work for you like this, where you can keep 100% of it later too. Money that you could really 100% count on because you've already paid taxes on the front end. Okay, and there are three options. You've got a 529 college savings plan, which I can help with. So if you got children and you want to set some money aside for your kids, it's only $50 a month. That's pretty sweet. That's something that you can take advantage of, and that's for your children's, but just know that it is specific to school and higher education. The other option would be a Roth IRA. And so long as you don't make too much in income, you can invest in that. If you're under 50, you can invest 6,000. If you're over 7,000 per year. Okay, and that money grows tax-free, access to tax-free, which is awesome. Awesome. So imagine, like that example I shared with you, imagine putting 6,000 away 30 years ago and now seeing it grow to 201 and knowing what I just taught you. You could have put it in an IRA, which is tax deferred. You could have put it in a Roth IRA. But because we talked about this, you decided, I want to pay taxes on my money this year so I can invest 100% of my $6,000 into a Roth IRA versus an IRA so I can keep 100% of it. So that $6,000 that you put away 30 years ago when you were 18, now you're 48. That's my client example. You have $201,000 that's completely tax free because you've already paid taxes on it. Whereas if you put it in an IRA, whatever your income tax bracket is at the time you withdraw is what you're going to lose, is what you're not going to be able to keep. So would you rather, right? Would you rather keep it all and pay up front, or would you rather not know and leave it to the government? Now that we're in like what, $27 trillion of debt, it's crazy. I don't even know what the number is right now. I can't even count that high. But isn't that interesting? Now the other option, right, besides the 529, which can be very limiting, the Roth, which is also limiting, being that if you make over about $130,000 as a single person, over 200,000 as a married couple filing jointly, unfortunately you can't invest in that, or you can up to a smaller amount than 6,000 a year. Okay. The other option would be cash value inside of life insurance. Okay. There's a tax code called the 7702 tax code. And it says, hey, if you have a life insurance policy with cash value, which is like a long-term savings account, right, tied to the life insurance policy, that money grows tax-free and you can access it tax-free too. I'm at 40 minutes, guys. I went a little over. Okay. So how it works is you got a life insurance policy and you got cash value tied to it. And that's tax sheltered, tax advantaged savings. And it grows tax-free. You can access it tax-free and you can use it for what you want. No, it doesn't have to be for school. No, it doesn't have to be just for retirement. You can use it for starting a business. How about vacation? How about your child's wedding? How about mommy makeover? What's up, mamas? And the choice is yours. How awesome. And so, because it's life insurance, though, you have to be able to qualify. You do. You have to qualify. I have people that want it, but they can't because they're just either not healthy enough or they have a DUI, unfortunately, And some people think that they're not healthy enough, and then they realize, oh my gosh, I was able to get qualified. So it's really case by case. And now, is it for everyone? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It just depends on what your objectives are. Is your family important to you? Are they young? Do you have an insurable need? Is this a great way to really plan for tax efficiency in the future for yourself? If so, then we can run the numbers, right? If so, then we can do a financial needs analysis, which is completely free. That's our loss leader, guys, that we offer a free financial plan. There's no obligation, but we take a look at where you are today, where you want to be, and then we back engineer a plan and we say, okay, well, here are some solutions that can get you on track to your financial independence. A lot of people just don't have a plan, and that's why they fail. And so that's what we want to do. Like, our goal is just to provide hope with a real plan. And it's completely complimentary. And it really is awesome seeing how families get so empowered through the process. And how, I have clients, like I have a single mom that I've helped who's 60, coming into 60. She's like 58, okay? But it was the first time she said that she felt confident and that she felt so comfortable talking to me about money. And now she has confidence that she's never had before in having her money really work for her in the ways that she never thought were possible. Okay. And so, rule number 1, put your money where it's going to grow. Rule number 2, minimize risk, eliminate it altogether if you can. And then rule number 3 is just get your money really working for you by putting it in tax advantaged solutions. Okay, reduce the impact of taxes. Keep more of your hard earned money because you deserve to. Okay, and get a free financial plan if you want. It doesn't hurt to know and to have a plan that could really work for you. And like I said, wow, time really is your biggest asset. The sooner you start, the better off you'll be. It's true. And I've seen so much of, growth in my accounts, my clients' accounts. And it's crazy how you can really build that savings muscle in such a short period of time. Why and how you get started is just by doing. That could be like 50 bucks a month, 20 bucks a month, and just seeing that money grow, it just incentivizes you to do more. You're like, oh my God, this is so cool to put my money somewhere where it's actually going to work for me because I work so hard for my money. Why not get it working harder for me? So if you want your money to work harder for you, reach out. And nonetheless, like I said about the business, right? 99% of us are not helped. If this is information that you think is really cool, really powerful, that you can really stand behind, that you want to just share with other people, reach out. There could be a really amazing partnership opportunity where we have no quotas. Okay. There's revenue sharing. You could really make a difference. And you can create another stream of income for yourself, which I feel is so powerful. Yeah, you can have all these accounts right here, but unless you have a financial freedom plan that's going to set you free and help you fire your boss if you want to, it's going to be really hard to get there. It's really going to be hard to create that financial freedom and that lifestyle that you may want, where you can work anywhere at any time with who you want. And so reach out, 408-515-0099. Would love to hear from you. Sending you all the love, all the light. Hope you guys got a ton of value today. And Happy New Year. And oh, Happy Valentine's Day. That's why I'm wearing these for you guys. All the love. And I'm a Valentine's Day baby. So it's not a coincidence. I love you guys. I'm sending you so much love in all you do. And I'm here for you. Bye, guys.